intersectionality is really important here because often, and nonprofits have been guilty of this too, that each sort of say, hey, we have the answer. And it would be easy to say, well, if we solved housing, it would solve everything. That's not true. But the reality is housing in many ways is a prerequisite or foundation for all the other things we want. So if we want better health, we know we've got to have good housing. If we want good education, if we want livelihoods, if we want healthy food, all of those pieces come together. And you really need a holistic solution. One of the challenges I think we've had, and history has gotten us here, is we've become increasingly economically segregated. And there's a racial component of it, but it's a huge economic barrier. So local zoning has been designed in a way to segregate our communities. And historically, cities were mixed income and mixed use, where people could live close to where they work. That's still the best model, but we have increasingly undesigned our cities to make that work. So we need to both increase our investment in communities of opportunity and make sure that we open up access, because a lot of zoning rules have been designed to keep out low and moderate income housing, and we've got a huge deficit in supply. And on the other side, how in an inclusive way can we continue to invest in historically underserved communities, but do it in a way that doesn't displace or force so many families out? And so I think we need a both and approach, and the faith community can play an important role in this, because ultimately change comes through relationships. So we need the policy side, but in order to get local policy changed, you've got to change hearts and minds. And I think historically, that's a place where the faith community can really step in. We need Yes in My Backyard, because zoning is one of those places where otherwise friendly people quickly lose all that friendliness. And we also need the state and federal piece. So it's an and, not an instead of. But I think there's a huge advocacy opportunity for the faith community to step up and say, we believe in the beloved community. It's certainly the model that, if you look at all the major faiths of the world, there's a deep values-driven commitment to those most in need in our society. And so we have always worked joyfully, not just within the Christian world, but across. And we've had wonderful examples of interfaith groups coming together to tackle these and these challenges. So I am optimistic that it's possible. I certainly don't think it's easy, but I do think housing has become more visible in this crisis. And what's unusual in this crisis is usually in an economic downturn, housing would become less expensive. This is so unique because of this K economy or less than economy, where those who are knowledge workers actually want more space. So they're driving housing prices up, and service workers are being priced out of housing as their incomes go down. So we have got to tackle this. We had a huge housing crisis before COVID. It's worse now, and I think there's a great urgency now to come at this together.